Welcome. This is a test of the Drive Time podcast with Darren Johnson. I am currently testing this in a small town called Herkimer, New York. I just saw a woman with a mustache here. Looks like an interesting crowd. The goal of this podcast, once we have it up, and I'm playing with the name Drive Time, I'm going to look up on the internet after if that domain name or something similar, something memorable is available. Seems like every word combination in the history of American English has been taken already, but I'll see what I can do. Maybe there's like a .info or .us or some far-flung domain name that works for this particular podcast. The reason why this is happening is because I'm in the car a lot. I'm a working guy. I have 2 jobs. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I used to listen to a lot of satellite radio, but that has gotten a little bit dull over time. I do have a lifetime subscription to a unit. It's an old Sirius unit that hooks up through the FM radio, and I've brought it from car to car since about 2005 or whenever Howard Stern first went to satellite radio. He's not around as much, and I'm in the car more than ever. I have 2 jobs while driving around a lot, and I think that what I can bring to a podcast that's a little different than all of the other podcasts and satellite radio out there is that I actually do work. I think the people who are listening to podcasts are largely people who have jobs of some sort. They're either listening in the car, if they figured out that technology is how to listen to a podcast in the car, or they are listening at work. They have headphones on at work. Maybe they have a job where they really don't have to interact with people, or if a person walks into their office or cubicle, they can just take off the headphones. Or they are just listening, at their own leisure. Or I think eventually cars will have the ability to download podcasts. So if I get in now, perhaps when that technology comes along, there will be, I'll have enough listeners where I can be one of the podcasts that's considered by Ford or Chevy or whatever to put my podcast into their car amongst the others. Most podcasts are actually done by either people who don't have jobs and are living in mom's basement, or they like comic books or whatever, and they're doing a podcast. I totally avoid those. The ones I do listen to are usually done by B-list celebrities. The people like Adam Carolla, a very good podcast. Sounds like a radio show. That's why I like it, I think. Mark Maron, comedian, finally hit his stride around age 50. Artie Lang, who used to be on the Howard Stern show. He has a paid podcast, which is an interesting business model. He says on his podcast it's not doing that well financially. I'm in the car so much, it is relatively easy for me to do a podcast. Right now, I am parked and talking into the microphone, and this is mostly a test of the sound system. I'm going to bring it back and see what I can do with it on my computer, or see if it just is ready to go. I'm recording at a medium-level MP3 format. I have a really good Zoom H2N microphone that has stereo capability. On eBay, I ordered a particular suction cup device that should hook into my car. Who knows? It's from Hong Kong. If it'll even work or not. It was only a few bucks. It should hook into my car. And then I can hook up the microphone to, say, like the window, and have consistent levels thus, because the microphone will be in the same place the whole time. I won't have to hold it in my hand. I am curious to see how traffic will play out on this microphone, if it'll be detectable or not, or if it'll just blend in. Seeing that a lot of the people listening to this might be driving, it might make a lot of sense to have that driving sound so that it just blends in. I guess if a police car or something goes by, that will impact it, so I'll have to announce it. I did also order a remote control for this, so I guess I could pause if something should happen, although that might make the podcast more quaint if there's an actual sound going by. The other thing I want to test is how I can play outside sounds while driving. I'm very used to distracted driving. My car has 193,000 miles right now. It's the car I use for business purposes. And it's only a 2007, so that's like 30,000 miles a year. I'm going to see how other sounds work on this. So in my first official podcast, I am going to I'm going to talk about a song from Benny Maradonis. So let me play this at various levels and see how it sounds. Here it goes. Okay, that's on volume number 6, it looks like, out of about a dozen. I like the double take on the intro to this particular song. You've probably heard it before. I'm going to talk about this song pretty regularly. And because this is at 6, I am noting it. If it comes out too loud, I will put it at 5 next time. If it's not loud enough, I will put it at a lower level. So I'm talking while this is playing just to test it out. The other thing I have going on right now is I'm going to lower this to a 4. The other thing I have going on right now is I have earbuds in. All right, if I'm going to be driving and recording this podcast, a cop might pull me over for having earbuds in. So that might be a little hard to explain. In this day and age, I'm in New York State. The cops, there's a lot of little jurisdictions, so you go through them, and my commute to my main job is about an hour every day each way, which is about perfect for a podcast, but I pass through all these little jurisdictions. That said, during drive time, usually the cops are kind of understanding, but if they see a microphone hooked up to a suction cup, hooked up to my window, and earbuds in my ears, they might pull me over for that. So I'll have to see how that goes. Maybe I can get one of those headsets where I just hear out of one ear. It just has the earphone part on one side, so I think that's legal to have one ear showing. Or I could just use the earbuds and just have one in my ear. Or get like one of those 1970s style earbuds where it just goes into one ear, like, you know, that people would listen to a transistor radio while in church and listen to the sports game or something and have it in the one ear. That was a staple of sitcoms in the 70s or so, that joke. So maybe something like that. I'm going to turn off the radio now in case it's overbearing. Just a second. All right, so those are the main concerns with the podcast. I'm going to record it directly to MP3, and when I get to my final destination on a regular basis, post it. So I usually have to get to work by 8:30. If I post it at about 8:20 or so, I could probably do that from the car, then it will be ready for people who are just about to drive to work. What they can do is, you know, since the technology's not there yet where the podcasts automatically download into the car, they can download it on their phone and listen through their phone, whether through an auxiliary cable in their into their stereo or through Bluetooth, or they can just, you know, go into work and download it, right-click it, and download it to their device. Or what I do is I use CD rewritable discs, and I put podcasts on there, then I totally erase it, and then I put a new podcast on, totally erase it, put a new one on. Sometimes I'll put 3 or 4 or 5 on. You record it as a data disc, and that plays in most cars. So that's another way that people can listen to it. Or if they're actually at work, they can just listen to it at work. So I think if I do that on a consistent basis, that will help build an audience, because it'll be people driving to work. They'll get used to it. It'll become habit forming. For people in other time zones, since I'm on the East Coast time zone, this will actually post at 5:30 in the morning, give or take, LA time. So someone driving to work out there where the traffic is pretty horrible, they can totally just get in their car and it'll already be ready. Why do it every day? I think the habit forming aspect is important. The other aspect that is important is the news factor. Why some people listen to radio versus podcasts is that radio is live and podcasts really aren't. But by 8:30 in the morning, I should know the day's news. I will, make sure I'm abreast of it before I start, so I can be topical. But what will be the topics? It won't just be news. I'd like to talk about also freeform a little bit on topics like Benny Meridanis or something that captures my interest. My credentials for doing this, I have had an online radio station. It was called 631 Radio. Now it's called Campus News Radio since 2007. People say that I am pretty good at talking. I've lectured in classrooms since 1996. I've taught classes in English and computers as an instructor at the college level. So I can speak at that level. I have good technological ability because of those computer classes and language classes. And I have a master's in fine arts degree. Usually they say that's the kiss of death if you want to be a writer. But I have one in writing, so I know how to structure. I think I can structure an hour so that it starts and then it builds and then it finishes. So that, and I'm listening to podcasts every day in my car. May as well record one from the working man's perspective. My other job is I own a newspaper called Campus News. It hits, it's up to 37 colleges in the Northeast. It's like a college newspaper on steroids. And I could also promote the podcast through that. So that'll help build an audience. Hopefully the sound on this is okay and it won't be too difficult to do this. But I'm going to sign out now. Let me sign out with some more Benny Meridanis. Here it comes. Build the volume. 3.5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Going back down. 1. Okay, hopefully that's good enough for the lady with the mustache in the parking lot and the guy collecting cans out of the garbage can. Signing off, tentatively called Drive Time Podcast for working people. See ya.